Welcome back to the Building Confidence podcast, where I, your host, Louise as a party, share what I've learned through the years, through the tears, so you don't have to. This is episode 118, and I'm going to be talking about healthy arrogance, but also a discussion on sexism. This episode is supported by Time and People, and they are also supporting a Tradeswoman Owning Their Power coaching scholarship, which I will go through a little bit later on. All right. Healthy arrogance plus this discussion on sexism. So last episode we talked about arrogance versus pride, and if the fear of being arrogant is stopping you from pride, from feeling proud. Now, one of the girls commented on one of my posts, pointing out that sexism. Yes, pretty much sexism. Sexism is something that I just take into account in pretty much everything that I say and do and act on because I know that it's out there. But I think this deserves a place in the podcast to have a proper discussion about it. What she was bringing up was that arrogance is okay in men, but is typically not a trait that is okay in women. And we are often told don't be too arrogant. Depending on what situation you find yourself in, if you are standing up for yourself in those situations. So sometimes that can have an impact on quote-unquote arrogance. And before I get a little bit too deep into this, I want to have the healthy arrogance discussion. So it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg in this situation. So I hope this ends up making sense for you guys. But in all of my podcasts that I do, I acknowledge that sexism, racism, homophobia exists in the world. I don't have time to mention it, or sometimes I don't consciously mention it in each episode. But please, if you think there's something that's worth discussing deeper, I move through the world knowing that these things exist, and I am sometimes adjusting my behavior consciously or unconsciously because of these things that exist in the world. All right. So arrogance, let's dive into that a little bit more. So I did a good old Google and brought up the definitions. I have my own definitions, which is, the definition of pride and arrogance that I shared in my last episode. But arrogance, according to Google, the quality of having an exaggerated sense of oneself the quality of having an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities. So it's kind of, I interpret it as you believe that arrogance used to the extreme, the kind of quote-unquote bad arrogance, which nothing is truly good or bad, but the arrogance that I try to avoid personally is believing that I am better than anyone else, that I am worth more than someone else, that just my existence means that I am on top or better than other people. Now, the definition of healthy arrogance. And, some people take this as their definition of arrogance. And I know some really good humans. There's one woman in particular. She comes to the Us in Trade networking events. So also if you're a tradie, a tradeswoman or a tradesperson or a minority of some sort, the Us in Trade networking events are something that happens in Sydney. So please feel free to message me if you want details about those events if you're local. But there is this woman. From the outside, you call her an elderly woman. She has had a healthy sense of arrogance her whole life. Her daughter was saying, and she also knows and acknowledges that about herself. She was the first qualified female builder or construction engineer in South Australia, and that healthy sense of arrogance is what has got her through. And she has said that, and I see that in her after knowing her for about 2 years now. So healthy arrogance, according to Google, is a mindset of supreme confidence in one's abilities and rightful place. So I see this as, an example in my own life. Being a qualified mechanic, I know that I am a qualified mechanic. I have that piece of paper. I actually have 2 pieces of paper. Multiple actually. I have my Certificate 3 in Heavy Vehicle Road Transport Mechanics. I have my Certificate 3 in Mobile Plant Mechanics. I have my Certificate of Proficiency in Heavy Vehicle Mechanics. I have my Motor Repairer's license. I know how to fix trucks. Do I know everything? No. But I know and I trust in what I know. I did my training on a particular brand of engine, and I really believe and have supreme confidence, according to Google, and I actually really like that, that I know that stuff. I know that I'm kind of a little bit rusty on it at the moment because I got off the tools in 2018 full time. But I know that. So that healthy arrogance kind of comes to me as, I know. You cannot convince me that I don't know this thing. This is kind of coming into when sometimes you're being undermined about something. That healthy sense of arrogance is what makes you stand your ground. That healthy sense of arrogance is you absolutely knowing what your skills and abilities are and having total faith in those. Like that woman that I said, first female builder, that's not specifically what it is, but it's not my industry, so the words kind of don't make they make sense, but they're not something I remember. But that healthy sense of arrogance, that she has total faith in what she knows, helped her get to where she is today. And a lot of people, like, especially stepping into a trainer and assessor role, and even being someone that either teaches apprentices, so you're, I don't say run-of-the-mill tradie as a bad thing. I say, like, your position is a tradesperson and you train apprentices. That healthy sense of arrogance that I know, helps you teach others. That sense of I know that I know helps you go into a conversation with a customer confidently. I know that I know how to fix this problem for you, whether it be a plumbing problem, a carpentry problem, a renovation. You know that you can do it. That is that healthy arrogance. All right, that is a personal decision to have that definition for yourself. I really like it, and I really recommend everyone. I do it a lot in the episodes where I have a definition and I know what the words mean for myself, and I encourage my clients to do that as well. And I encourage you as a podcast listener to do that as well. Make sure you know what that definition of that word is for you, because it can mean different things to different people. And sometimes you might be having a conversation where the definition is different between the two people, so maybe your conversation isn't making sense. All right. Where does sexism come into this? So I mentioned it before. Women are told, don't be arrogant. You might be being proud. We went through last week my personal definition of being proud is where it's like, I did something cool and I'm excited. Like, that is pride to me. Slash with excitement. I did something hard and I'm really happy with myself. That is pride to me. And sometimes men, let's say men, and sometimes other women can say, that's arrogance. Don't be arrogant. That is on them. This is why it's so important that you know the definition of the word for yourself to fact check. If someone tells you that you're being too arrogant as a way to make you smaller, check yourself against your definition. Okay, am I confident that I am the person in the room that knows the most about this? Or am I confident that the sentence that I said with this fact that is really important for this type of conversation is true because I know that I know, and I'm not going to step back because I don't want to be seen as quote unquote arrogant. It might be a safety thing. It might be something big in a design of something. It might be something that is really useful in the scheme of things. And it might just be your run-of-the-mill conversation, but you do not deserve to be put down or be seen as quote unquote too arrogant for just speaking your expertise. I think I really like that, speaking your expertise. Sometimes people get told that you're being too arrogant. And I've been saying this word so much these days because this is the topic that's on my mind. People tell you that you are being too arrogant when you are speaking your expertise. Check in with yourself. Run it through the definition that you have of yourself. And if you believe that you are not being arrogant, from your sense of the definition of the word, not take out your sexism. Did some person tell you that you were being arrogant to make you feel small? Because we are not taking that. We are not taking that. In last week's episode, I did talk about reading the room. Reading the room is, something that we should do in most situations. But it's not something that we should do to make ourselves small, limit our expertise, limit our technical contribution to a situation. It is definitely not something that we should be holding back from because of that. Read the room. Read the room can mean, okay, is someone crying right now? Maybe it's not time to stand my ground on this technical thing. Did we just find out a work colleague died? Different things. Like, in that technical scenario, I don't think there's too many situations where you wouldn't stand your ground technically if it is purely a workplace situation. Previously with the pride versus arrogance, it was more, okay, read the room. Is your friend telling you about a hard mental health challenge and the spotlight is on them for that moment? And then, you kind of come through that, support them through that, and then you say, hey, like, this really exciting thing's happened to me. And you bring it up a little bit later after that moment has passed. That's more what the reading the room is. Have a look. Work out your definition of arrogance, healthy arrogance, bad arrogance. Put all your little definitions of it, of what you want it to be. But my definition of that healthy arrogance is, I know that I know. I have total faith in my abilities and my knowledge in this. And standing for that. Absolutely standing for that. Have a check to see if your definition of arrogance has a sexism frame on it, that may be something that has been put onto you. Just check that. Because, sexism, racism, homophobia, that stuff comes into everywhere, which is unfortunate. Okay, now, I kind of went it down into a little spot. But anyway, this is something that I'm quite passionate about, because I really want everyone who listens to this podcast, and, pretty much everyone, to have solid faith in their abilities and to really stand up for what they believe in, what they know. All right. If you are struggling with this, I have a coaching scholarship available. The coaching program, the 6-month coaching program that I do to help you build confidence, to manage your anxiety, to go through challenges and solve challenges and problems, that is open for purchase all of the time, no matter what trade you're in, all over the world. I currently have a scholarship available for a spot of in my coaching program. We're doing open applications at the moment. This spot for the coaching program is available to Australian tradeswomen and non-binary people to apply for. If you are an apprentice, a qualified person, or a team leader, you are able to apply for these scholarships. These scholarships are sponsored by Time and People. Time and People manage contractor compliance on site. For example, they will keep all your licenses, your working at height checks attached to your profile, so that when you sign in to sites, it makes sure that everything is updated, and they can flag if you may not be updated. That is one tiny example of the things that they do. If you would really like to know more about them, please check out their website. I'll put it in the caption for the podcast. But they are sponsoring a coaching scholarship. The information for that is also in the description box of the podcast. And like always, if you are not believing in yourself right now, please borrow my belief in you. I know you can do anything that you put your mind to. You might need to have a nap and a snack first. And I say that because that is something that I often need to do. But I know you can do whatever you put your mind to. I will talk to you next week.